perform a self-release technique for the hamstrings with the use of a foam roller, again to improve our straight leg hip flexion range of movement. We can perform that release with 2 legs or 1. There's 2-leg variation, placing the backs of both thighs up on the roller and supporting the weight through the hands, rolling the body forwards and backwards over the roller. You can then progress to a single leg version, probably easiest with the leg on the edge of the roller. And again, trying to take the body weight through the leg and use the arms to roll the body forwards and backwards. Ball to perform a self-release for the hamstrings. So sitting on a preferably hard surface, placing the ball in behind the back of the thigh, and then relaxing the thigh down so that we're putting pressure on the ball and the hamstrings, and then from there straightening the leg out, so performing that active release of the hamstrings. Perform some static stretching of the hamstrings and gluteals. I prefer to perform these stretches in supine position. When we do perform them in supine, we like to have a small rolled up towel in the small of the back to prevent pulling the lumbar spine into excessive flexion when we do this. So we can do this either starting in knee flexion and bringing the hip up to a degree of hip flexion. So we're going to bring it to approximately 100 degrees of hip flexion, and then from there actively extend the knee and perform the stretch in that way. Or alternatively, we can wrap a strap around the foot and, keeping a slight bend in the knee, pull the leg up towards the body and then hold that position. From there, we can perform a contract-relax technique where we're pushing the foot into the strap. So if the strap wasn't there, we'd be pushing the leg away from the body, pushing, holding that position, and then from there, combine it with some breathing. So inhale, and then on the exhale, relax and pull the leg in a little bit closer to the body. We generally perform our dynamic stretches of the hamstrings in one of 2 ways. 1, with a stretching kick, or 2, with one of our hip hinge variations. So when we're performing a stretching kick, we're keeping a slight bend in the knees and basically using the hip flexors to bring the hip into hip flexion, whilst resisting flexion of the knees. So maintaining relatively straight knee and using the hip flexors to bring the leg into a position where we're getting a stretch into the hamstrings. We've covered our hip hinge coaching and progressions and regressions in the clips related to hip dominant lower limb strengthening exercises, but these can also be performed as part of a mobility routine. So basically performing that hip hinge either loaded or unloaded as a stretching exercise, as a dynamic stretch, targeting those hamstring muscles, either as a 2-legged exercise or as that single leg hip hinge or single leg deadlift exercise. We can also perform a straight leg hip flexion isometric hold, wrapping the band around the foot, bringing the leg in as close as possible towards the body, then taking the assistance of the strap away, engaging the hip flexor and attempting to hold that position. You can perform some eccentric strengthening work as a specific mobility modality with the use of cables. Now the cable is preferable to a band because the resistance is consistent throughout the entirety of the movement. So to perform this movement, we would start lying on the back with a cable attached to the ankle, and from there slowly move the leg through range until we get to end of range where a strong stretch is felt in the hamstrings. And from there we can either use the muscular control of the leg to lower back down, or if the load warrants it, using some assistance with the hand.